Hey everybody, and welcome to the show. As usual, I'm your host Ben, and as usual, I'm joined by my co-host Ian. How you doing, Ian?
I'm
Ian?
doing pretty good. How about you?
Okay. You go quiet for a second. I'm like, oh no, something broke. What's going on? It's been one of those experiences with this show. It's like I think the theme song's playing. Oh, I think they can hear me. No, they can't. Okay. So, yeah, we're
I
on
just
early this.
telemarketer call, man.
Okay.
Telemarketers.
Oh yeah. Well, it's either that or it's either a telemarketer, or if you're on that don't call list, then it's always somebody asking for a donation. Would you like to feed starving children in Africa? I can barely feed myself. But when you can spare $1, it's like, well, I mean, no matter what you tell these people, they will always pester you, thinking they'll squeeze something out of that stone. It's like, it's like I'm unemployed. Well, every little bit helps. I'm like, look, I just told you I'm unemployed. For all you know, I could be out on the street tomorrow. Why don't you give me money? So,
Yeah.
fun times. So anyway, how's everybody doing this week? We're doing this show a little early because Ian's got a family get-together coming up this afternoon, which is good because that means it's summer, everybody's having fun. Am I right?
Right. What are you gonna do this with your afternoon free now after this?
Well, I'm probably going to tag and upload the podcast and get that out of the way so I'm not thinking about it tomorrow. Assuming we keep this one under 3 hours, which hopefully we will. So, anyway,
Yeah.
what have you been up to with your weekend, Ian? Just to catch everybody up.
Well, I've been finishing up on some of my panoramas and just trying to get those out of the way so I can continue on to other stuff. But also, I've been working on some stuff to be 3D printed out.
Ooh.
My
What you
stepmom wanted me to print out like a fancy like a pencil holder or whatever for her.
Oh. Yeah, I always would just use, like, the spiral off a spiral notebook. Like, just simple stuff, or, like, I don't know, anything you can stick it in. Is that my good butter?
Well-
Memo.
What? I mean, what I meant is not a pencil holder, but like a pencil cup or whatever. Something ornamental, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Makes sense. I don't know. I always kind of just like use little doodads and whatnots that kind of save up. Like every time I finish a can of peanuts, I use it to store my pencil shavings. And then when I haven't been sharpening pencils a lot, I've got piles of cans of empty cans from peanuts. It's like, come on, I'm never gonna use these anymore. I don't do digital stuff anymore.
Yeah, I remember when we were at AIP, they like for those really expensive Prismacolor markers that were like $3 a marker. They had like I think they had them like on display or something, and they had like a fancy stand for them and stuff where it had like holes in it, and they were like angled, sticking out or whatever the markers.
Yeah, well, you can tell when you're shopping at a store that like is a little too expensive when everything's in like a sealed glass case. It's like, hey, can I take a look at that? Are you gonna buy it? No. Well, then get out. It's, like there was a music store out here like that. Like when I was in high school, and people would rent it, it'd be like they're like, oh, that store, they've got like one guitar and it's behind the counter, and you have to ask a guy to see it. As most podcast episodes go, I have to mention the guy at the organ store. He's just angrily looking at people who, he turns his back, little kids come in and start playing on the organ. He's like, you gonna buy one? Then get out! It's like yeah, he wasn't in business too long. So, yeah. My weekend was spent on Saturday. I went to the Bill Watterson and Richard Thompson exhibit at the Cartoon Art Museum in down at near OSU, and that was a fun experience. My mom was like, "Oh, I don't trust driving down in Columbus. I don't know that area." I'm like, "Well, my phone can give us turn-by-turn directions." But then we start going down there, and it's like my battery starts going 100%, 99%, 98%. I'm like, this is concerning. I don't have my charger with me. So we just used enough to get there. But then when we got there, there was like no immediate parking. Like there were parking and everything and stuff, but it's like we got there and I turned my phone off again, and she's like, okay, where do I go? Where do I park? Did you see a parking space? I got it. And we drove like a half mile, and she started driving further and further away. So I told her how to get back to the place. Then she parked in like a Kroger's parking lot, like a half mile from the thing, and we had to walk there, and it was raining. I had my umbrella. I was holding it and kind of like it pissed off, kind of the whole walking, and then when I finally get to the door of the thing, I let go, and my hands cramped because I don't know. I've always had muscle issues, like I've mentioned on the show I got gout, so like I guess I was holding it. I've had that before, like I'll be leaning on my hand and not paying attention, and then when I let off of it, all of a sudden my hand's like I cannot come out of this position. It hurts. So, but yeah. That's enough babbling about that. The exhibit itself was really nice. So and yesterday was the last day to see it, and I knew it was going to be overly crowded Sunday, so I went Saturday. So we did that. That was nice, And then Sunday, my brother and his wife came up to visit. So in fact, he's probably texting me right now. So it was it's a nice weekend. Kind of busy. Busy.
Sounds pretty busy, man.
As opposed to winter, where everyone's just like kept up in their house, like not leaving, not going outside, too cold to do anything. That's what it is. Summer, it's too hot to do anything, and winter, it's too cold. It's like there's like a little window of like fall and a little bit in spring, where it's like, oh, this is great. Then after it's like, you know what I mean?
I mean, for me, it's different, but I was gonna ask, I know you're mainly into like the digital side for animation, but do you find yourself doing any different kind of art for each like season or whatever, or is it pretty much just you're always inside mainly?
Well, I'm always inside. I'm not a big go out and like what do you expect me to make, like a big installation piece out in somebody's yard in the sunshine? No, I like staying inside where the conditions can be controlled. Yeah, it's
right. So you don't go out more and do some like photography or reference photography, or go out and get inspiration and stuff,
Well, I seek out inspiration and reference, but I try to. I don't know. I like going to bookstores and looking at magazines and pictures of things I haven't seen, and I go on vacation when I can. When we went to that trip to South Dakota, and I've been to a couple other states, and I like to go to things here and there. But as for my day-to-day stuff, I'm not big on going out to places, because it's usually a hassle to get people to go with me, and so I have to go alone to stuff, and that's a hassle too. So. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
life.
I mean,
I think we're fortunate that like we live in the age where there's a lot of stuff you can find on the internet or via your phone, or you don't, or even if you just have to go somewhere, you can drive your car and get there and get directions from a magical satellite to your little handheld device. It's not like back in the day, even in like the 80s and 90s, if you had to go somewhere, it's like that was a journey. It's like some stuff just didn't happen. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Me, I usually try to take a lot more photography when the weather's nice and the trees actually everything's a little bit more green and stuff, And it's good to get the exercise, I guess,
Yeah, I understand that. It's like, just whenever I take photos, it's usually like an event, or I'm at some place that I'm not usually at. It's like I don't go around like local parks or anything, because I don't know. It's not really my bag, baby. So.
And you don't really like to do any traditional painting a whole lot, right? So you don't go outside and do that.
Well, no. If I do paint, it's usually indoors. I loaned my brother a bunch of my paints recently because he got into pinstriping and he wanted a whole bunch of other kinds of paints to experiment with. And I was like, all right, I'm pretty much doing digital stuff these days. I still have plenty of markers and pens and pencils in my studio for traditional stuff like that, but I don't know. Paint, like, I like the idea of painting, but the concept of, like, okay, you have to get your little tube out, and you have to put a little bit of color, each color, and then you gotta mix it, and then it's like, oh, if you didn't use this color, you've got a huge wasted splotch of a color. It's like you gotta get saran wrap and try and save that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Out with the old school, in with the new.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But anyway, it's I think it's about time to move on to the news stories. If we've unless you got anything else you want to add.
Nope. Yeah, we could start with the news here then.
All right. Oh yeah, the news with Ian.
Yep. Hopefully,
What's our first headline? What's our first headline today, Ian? Bring it on. We're ready.
Okay, well this one is a little bit of a more of a celebrity thing. You probably won't be that interested in it, but I just thought it was funny. It's about Orlando Bloom allegedly tries to punch Justin Bieber, and he tried it, but I guess he missed.
I heard about that. It's been making the rounds on Tumblr that Leonardo DiCaprio was watching and applauding. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just makes me think of when John Lovitz took Andy Dick and like smashed his head into the bar, and everyone was like, "Hey man, good." Oh man.
Yeah.
Celebrities.
I really. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. So, you miss Celebrity Deathmatch, man?
I don't know. I watched the first series of it or season of it or whatever it was, and then I don't know. They changed the way the models were made, and plus I didn't know who the celebrities were, or kind of quick here. I'm not big on celebrity. It's like if you're a good person, that's all right. If you're kind of famous for just being famous, I care less. So.
Yeah, but I don't know. I didn't read too in depth about it, but I guess it had to do with something with posting like I don't know if it was like a girlfriend or whatever. I think Justin Bieber posted a picture of her or something, you know.
Now the thing I don't understand is like Orlando Bloom seems like a pretty cool, calm, cool, and collected kind of guy. So if you piss him off, you've probably done something. Yeah. It's not like you're a guy who's known for he's known for playing a hobbit or a dwarf. He's not really known for like being the guy I'm gonna mess you up. So
yeah. Well,
he's not like Eminem going out to the club and getting into fights with everybody.
Yeah.
He does.
I don't know.
He doesn't have much beef with anybody. I don't think so.
Right. What do you think? Are you the type of person that thinks Bieber's he does need like a good ass kicking or something, you know?
Well, he's from all the different stories I've heard of his behavior. It sounds kind of like, hey, you're a kind of a I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I try not to pay attention to guys. I don't listen to their music. Don't really care about them. But I mean, I don't know. I've heard stories of him spitting on fans and doing all kinds of bad behavior and crap. It's like if you're supposed to be, if you're young and you got all kinds of preteens as your fans, it's like you kind of should be, a stand-up individual. You shouldn't, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. For this next article here, this one is about a priest. He did an exorcism, I guess, on a girl, and he thought it was successful. But then after that, he was pretty sure that it was a failure because he was getting like evil texts from her, I guess.
Oh.
and it's
Satan knows how to use the cellular phones. Beware! Beware!
yeah. Well, the name of the article is "Priest Claims Hate Texts Are from Demon Spirit."
So what is she claiming that those shouldn't count on her minutes? I don't know. The thing about exorcism and everything is it's like, that stuff makes movies and everything, but as for reality of it actually happening, I mean, for one, it's kind of hearsay, and two, the people being exorcised are, probably the people that want to put on a show to begin with. So, I don't know. I mean, just like, the people seeing, the Virgin Mary in their toast, it's like, well,
Yeah. Well, it said one of the text messages was, "He will not come out of this hell. She's mine. Anyone who prays for her will die."
boyfriend text.
Yeah. It says, he said, however, that he had prayed for her and sent back another text message, getting the message in return: "Shut up, preacher. You cannot save yourself. Idiot, you pathetic old preacher." He added, "Clearly this young girl has been possessed and needs further help." So,
Yeah, just don't mind me.
yeah.
I'm fussing with my browser.
Okay. So, just want to make sure my connection wasn't being possessed or something. uh, but yeah. I think
A link to a
I'm
YouTube
trying to.
video, and it started the RAM thing I have that cleans my RAM. Like, it's going down and it's doing a countdown, so it's like you know how it is. You go to click close a tab, and then it automatically is doing some pieces, kinda, and it's like, oh, just never mind. Anyway.
Okay.
Computer's possessed,
But
and that's the only answer. My problem with exorcisms and everything like that is it's like, oh, this person is acting like a demon. It's like, really? They're acting like a demon. Yeah, they're exhibiting demon-like behavior. Oh, how convenient that in order for them to act like a demon, they have to put on behavior that makes you think they're a demon. I mean, it's like it's kind of like Munchausen syndrome. It's like, your kid is sick. That's so sad. It's like, yeah, my kid is sick. So, that's a shame that they're sick. And it's like, meanwhile, they're like poisoning the kid or, suffocating him or, doing horrible things. And it's like, what an odd coincidence, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I mean, that Exorcism, that Exorcist movie back in the 70s when that came out, that was supposed to be based on a real events.
Everything is based on real events. The Haunting in Connecticut is inspired by real, all these things. It's, oh yeah, this is based on true events. Yeah, this movie happened. Oh, so the part where you just like flew into space and did all this crazy stuff, that really happened? Yeah, man, it totally did. Yeah, I was there.
Well, it's supposed to be based on it, I guess. I don't know. I'm not sure though. Like, it was, when it came out, it was pretty controversial. It was, I think it was even rated X when it came out. I mean, even today, some people actually find it sort of scary, I guess. I don't know.
Well, it is a scary film. It's a well done film. Just like the same reason Friday the 13th was a good film, and Halloween and all those were well done films. It's I mean, the guy that I saw a thing on the internet recently where like the guy was like in his 40s when he played that priest, and they just aged him with makeup, and that was very convincing makeup. And that scene where it's freezing and you can see their breath. They actually cooled that room down to that temperature. It's not just like today that'd be all CG and wouldn't look worth a darn. So
yeah.
I don't know.
And I remember when that Exorcism of Emily Rose, that movie came out. That was a lot of people thought that was pretty crazy, And
well, it's just like when Catfish came out and a whole bunch of other movies came out that wasn't a thing you saw in films, and people were like, Blair Witch Project. It's like, oh, that's a real thing, man. And now it's like, that ain't real. They're trying to make us think that's real. Whatever. Based on a true story, yeah, sure.
Yeah, because if you have a POV camera, that it must be real, then
Found footage. Yeah.
Also, that newer movie, I heard a lot of people refuse to go see just because it's so scary for some people. I guess is that I think it's called See No Evil or whatever. I don't.
Oh, okay.
See or Hear No Evil. I forget which one it was.
Yeah, I heard about that one. I heard it was alright.
But
I don't know. I mean, the thing is, it's like there's a lot of these movies being made now. So if you're the kind of person that watches a lot of horror movies, those kind of things, they're like, I don't know if it really gets to you. But like if you're not a real horror movie kind of person, and it's like, oh no, I don't want to see El Diablo's gonna get me, Some people react differently, I mean, I don't go seeking out horror movies, but I'm aware of cliches, and I don't know. I appreciate when a film is actually kind of spooky, as opposed to, oh, that's just gross, and oh, somebody's getting tortured. Oh, really? Is that what we're coming to, guys? I don't know.
Come to torture porn.
Yep. All right, moving along, Ian. Moving along.
Yeah, let's move along. This, yeah. This next one you might find interesting. It's about 4chan screenshot sells for $90K on eBay, and it's about someone pondering about art, I guess. And it says art used to be something to cherish. Now literally anything can be art. This post is art, and it's a picture, printed out of the screenshot,
Well, to be fair, the person that bid on that, now how well worded was the eBay post was? Did they think they were buying 4chan? Because that happens a lot of times, it's like, oh, here, I'm going to buy that car on eBay, and it's like, oh no, you bought this screenshot of this car on eBay. Oh no! So...
I mean, I don't know. It's hard because I mean it's just pretty much printed text. I mean, you could just print that out even if it wasn't a screenshot. If you came up with it, it's just the idea. I guess people like so much. I don't know, but
I don't know, man. I mean, there's that whole concept of what is art, and it's like, oh, that my child could have done that. Like, well, your child didn't, and they didn't make $1 million off of this painting because they didn't do it. I don't know. I've been watching a lot of documentaries about different artists lately, because I told you how I set up Pseudo TV, and I set up a channel with a bunch of art documentaries. So there's I saw one on Salvador Dali and one on Roy Lichtenstein, and it's the whole question is the Lichtenstein one. He's drawing those characters from comic book panels, but then he's making them his own, but kind of. And so they talked to the original artist from the comic panel, and it was funny. They were interviewing one guy, and he drew a panel, and then Lichtenstein did his version. And every time he said Lichtenstein's name, he changed it. He called him Lichtenberg by the end. That's I think he's a little sour about it. Oh man.
Right. Well, I think it's important. I know it's good to make stuff that the majority of people are into, I guess, but I think it's more important maybe to try to make stuff that appeals to people of, not necessarily the generation of that time, but just the, the current world and what's appealing, what means a lot to the people right now, if what's going on in the world, maybe politics or what's happening,
Well, I've always
dramatic stuff.
maintained that art can be whatever to whoever. I mean, you could, there are artists that have made paintings and novels and all kinds of stuff and never shared them with anybody. They've been outsider art, like they make the size of Ulysses of their own material, but they never share it with anybody. But they're still artists. But as it's a matter of how marketable you want to be, because some people can be very much embrace marketing and getting their message out there and going, oh, I did this huge crazy thing, guys, and it's like, whoa, nobody else in the world is doing that, and it's so weird and irrelevant. So
Right.
I don't know. I mean, the thing is like there's the whole art scene versus the common person. We that was the thing that came up a lot in my online art history class I took not too long ago, where a lot of people are like, look, I try to explain art to my friends, but if they're not art people, they just don't get it. They just think art is a thing you get at Kmart. And it's like, well, some people that is what art is, I suppose, but probably you can't make people interested in art is the sad thing. It's like if they don't want to enrich their lives by getting culture and being into art, just like they can't get into a band or a TV show, you can't make them understand why this is a thing and why going to a museum is important. So.
Right. I don't know. It seems like, though, when it comes down to, like, if you want to make a lot of money, if it's art or whatever you're selling, I guess, in general, when it comes down to it, it seems like value just equals demand,
Well, that's where the money
Supply
system
and
comes
demand.
in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But yeah, I mean, people are demanding that type of thing, that type of painting. If that's what people want, then you can get money.
Well, like I've always said, if you can convince somebody to pay you $1 million for your painting, I don't care what you put on it, you're an artist. Because that's part of the art, is getting people to pay you in our economic system we live in,
Yeah.
So, I mean, because there are plenty of people that would love to paint pictures and sell them, but they aren't making anything. And then there's, you get that guy who made that skull covered in jewels, yeah. Like $100 million or whatever. It's like, yeah, that's good on you, man. Because, I mean, I don't know if I could ever. I mean, just the investment to make that piece of art is too expensive and insane for me to even fathom, really. So.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. This next article is kind of funny, I guess. It's about today's kids confused by old-fashioned typewriters, and I guess it was in like a video series. I guess these kids were asked to figure out how to put paper in a typewriter and how to start using it and stuff, and they didn't know it. They barely even know like how to press the keys or something. I don't know. But they basically couldn't operate it.
Well, I mean, that I've seen that series. It's kids on, and then they bring out some older technology, like they bring out old Nintendo games, and little kids are like, "What's this?" And I saw one where they had kids. They were showing them the '80s Ninja Turtles, and the kids were like, "Is this like the new one? What's going on? Why is this different?" And yeah, it's I don't know. I mean, nostalgia. I mean, I've heard people discussing. Like, when they give their kids an iPad or an iPhone, it's like, are they ever going to want to learn to type on a keyboard if they've always done stuff with a touchscreen? It's like, well, maybe they're going to have to learn, but, there were people back in the 1800s, complaining, oh, how are these kids going to learn to clean a slate if they all have sheets of paper? And before that, it was, everybody's wanted to write a book. I can't remember if that was Plato or Aristotle who was complaining about that. People have always lamented changes, but I don't know. Some stuff is a good thing to look out for. Like, it'd be a good thing to know how to use a typewriter, because if for some reason there's what's that pulse that would kill all electronics, you kind of want to have a typewriter on a mechanical.
EMP pulse.
Yeah.
Electromagnetic pulse. But actually, back when I was taking like a typing class back in high school, to figure out to get better at typing faster and stuff, they actually had us type on typewriters, so it forced you not to make less mistakes and stuff, you know.
Well, I've had typewriters because, you know, when I was a kid, I was really obsessed with the idea of writing, and that was, you know, before we had cheap computers, so it's like I had like an electric typewriter, I had an old timey typewriter. My parents got them because the thrifts, you can still find those at the Goodwill and whatnot very easily. So I don't know. Some
Right.
people are really in touch with their one typewriter. I don't know. It's still kind of just like drawing with traditional, you know, tools. It's like, oh, I messed up. Well, let me wipe that out and start again. Oh man.
Yeah, I think I remember for like final the final is not like an exam, just the final test of that class that we had to, you know, like type out an essay or whatever, and not use like any whiteout or anything, you know. So,
That just sounds unpleasant.
yeah. Well, it definitely it. I got pretty decent at it too. I forgot how many words a minute I was able to type, but I was able to not look at the keyboard and stuff, you know. And now I look at the keyboard and I'm starting to henpeck a lot more and stuff, you know, because a lot of stuff I mainly do like clicks and stuff for like a lot of 3D work and the photography stuff, you know, and you just sort of fall out of that. I mean, I do programming and stuff, but it's like a lot of that stuff I need to click around a lot too, and I can type at a decent speed with one hand, and I'll just like go switch hands and then go back, you know, to one side or the other, you know.
Well, I know. I mean, I never took typing classes, but I know the QWERTY keyboard well enough to be, you know, I don't usually look at it, which is good. So,
Right. I always get confused by where the numbers are, you know.
well, I've got the numbers up
reason.
there, and then I've also got the number pad, which is nice. So, but I'm sure this makes fascinating podcasting. So, let's just roll on. We got any more news stories, or?
Yeah. Well, this last one here is, it came out like, I think like last month or something, but it was sort of like, it's not really like a news thing, it's more of like a research thing, but it's it put a link here.
All
It's
right.
about the research determines the smartest and dumbest states based on tweets.
Man, I would hate to be judged by my tweets. That'd be like being judged by your late night texts. I've seen there's a Tumblr where they take screen caps from Star Trek and then like and then caption them with late night text that people send, like I'm lost, it's raining, you know, or you know, just I don't know, just stupid things like, man, I'm so high right now, those kind of things. And it's like it goes along so well with the image.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so, well, do you want to start at the smartest or the dumbest?
Well, I suppose start at the dumbest and move your way back up.
Okay, well, I guess well, do you want to take a guess at the number one dumbest?
No, I do not.
Oh, come on, man.
No, I'm not playing into that stereotype. Which state do you think is dumber? I don't know. Because, I mean, I've always maintained that the dumbest people I know were also college educated, so expectations, you know, mean anything.
Well, from the conversations that we've had off air, you've expressed politically you don't really care too much for Texas or Florida, so.
Well, Texas is a huge state, just like California. It's just whichever way the government, whichever way the populace of the area is leaning. So, I don't know. Then Florida, just every time you read some messed up news story, it's happening in Florida. So, I mean, considering the hanging Chad became a thing because of them.
Right.
And there's a reason why Jon Stewart on election night, he said the election was decided without them. Hooray.
Right. Well, actually neither of those are even on the make it on the bottom 5 of the dumbest. So I'll just go ahead and list them off. The number 1 is Louisiana.
On dumbest or smartest?
Dumbest. That's the number 1 dumbest.
Okay.
And then behind that, it's South Carolina, Alabama in 3rd. 4th is Arkansas. And then 5 is Mississippi.
Now, is this all by, like... How do you check this by tweets? Do you detect, like, spelling errors and who knows how to use a hashtag properly? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't really go in that depth, which... Actually, you should link this one, too, because the other one really didn't give you a list at all. This one shows, like, the states and stuff, too, like the other states. I think Ohio is, like, somewhere lukewarm in the middle, I guess,
That's where we are.
So,
yep.
But... Yeah, as far as the smartest states, well, do you want to take a guess at what the smartest is?
I'm just gonna say probably like either like New York or Massachusetts or something, that kind of those kind of areas.
Right.
What are you gonna say?
Okay, well, Massachusetts is on that list of the 5 smartest, but it's not the first. The first is actually Vermont. And then behind that is Wyoming. And then Massachusetts was 3rd. And then Minnesota was 4th. And then Maine was 5th.
Minnesota and Maine, eh? Gosh.
Yep.
What was the number 1?
It was Vermont.
Congratulations,
So
you're the smartest by tweets. I don't know if is that the kind of thing that you would put on like your license plate? Like, welcome to Vermont, home of the smartest people judged by tweets. I mean, just like how Ohio went from the heart of all to home of aviation, because the Wright brothers, see, they kind of came from here. I mean, sure, they did their stuff somewhere else, but they came from here. So therefore, but they're ours. That one's ours. I don't know. Here's the thing, I just didn't care that much either way. It's like, oh, the heart of it all. What does that even mean? I mean, personally, I always thought our state motto should be Ohio. At least we're not Michigan. I mean, no reason. I mean, I've been to Michigan before. It's it's a nice area. I'm just saying, for state rivalry and everything, it's like I live in Ohio, so I'm going to riff on them. It's like how I'm an American, so I riff on Canadians. They know I love them. So
good old. I remember that show, Hardcore Pawn, in Detroit.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, Chicago. Chicago and Detroit, I think, from what I've heard, they're like pretty bad right now. There's Cleveland's getting pretty bad too. So I mean,
well, the difference is that the difference with it all is Detroit is people have moved out and it's all been there's huge neighborhoods of nobody owning it, and it looks like you've seen the different things where you've seen different ones where they'll have like a celebrity that's from an area coming back and going, oh no, what happened? My town, it's gone. There's nothing here. So, and or like a thing will go around Tumblr. They're like, do you think this is some third world country or a post-war zone? No, it's Detroit. What have we done? And it's like, well, yeah, that's sad.
Yeah.
Oh well. I don't know. I do like reading those articles every now and again of artists that move in and try and revitalize the community and Like they're like, it has to be a big thing where you get a bunch of people to move in and want to put effort into rebuilding the community and, you know, actually living there and keeping it up, as opposed to everyone that ran out of money and or the banks foreclosed on everybody and they just moved off. There's nothing there. So.
Yeah. I don't know. I like these articles though because I hear them a lot on different radio shows and stuff, and I like those articles that list they have the most this or the most that. You know, it's usually interesting to try to take a guess at it and find out what it is. You know.
Well, like that time Pornhub released what each state searches by state. You know,
Yeah.
It's like, oh, they're really into compilation stuff. Well, so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's a whole matter of just averages. I don't think it really, you know, how much it actually affects anything. It's like you can't really walk up to a guy on the street and go, "Hey, you're from this state. You're much dumber than I am because I came from this other state." And our tweets by the okay. It's like saying whenever you cite some internet thing out loud, it sounds more and more dumb. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, hey, I was on this forum and I read this thread where you posted this link to this kitty video. Okay, I'm done talking now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Okay,
anyway,
well, you had some news that you had found out that you wanted to talk about.
Yes. Well, depends on which one we can get more discussion of. I think I can have more of a conversation about the other one, so I'm just going to. It'd be nice if I could get the proper link to it rather than the tweet link. There we go. But first bit of news. I've got two things I wanted to share. There's the thing about Studio Ghibli. I don't know how to pronounce it, but people have been freaking out because they were saying after Miyazaki retired or whatever that they're gonna stop making feature films, and basically the report is that there's no exact report that they're closing or going to be stopping feature films. It's more that they're restructuring and trying to make better business planning and whatnot. I guess because their last film didn't do as well as they had hoped. So.
Right. Interesting.
Yes. I mean, it's been all over Tumblr for the last few days. Like, oh no, I've heard about this thing. Oh no. And it's like, well, we haven't had an official statement. I don't know. I mean, I don't know one way or the other because I like their films. I'm not a huge Ghibli guy. It's like I've seen Howl's Moving Castle and I think was it Spirited Away? Was that theirs or maybe not, or not? Well, it wasn't Spirited Away. I guess it was just Spirit. I don't know. I've seen a handful of their films. I like them. They're unique. So I don't know. What are your thoughts, Ian? The concept of moving away from feature films.
I mean, I guess it could be interesting. I mean, I'm a person that likes to have options though for anything,
Yeah, I understand because as an American, when Disney decided that they just weren't going to be doing the 2D thing, and it's like oh no, that's like a whole lineage of things. It's just not, when any studio makes okay, we're not making money with this, so we're just going to move away entirely, and it's like, but who's going to be making those now? And the argument on the internet has always been well, now that Disney's not making the feature length, the 2D animation, it's it's really the indie animation scene, and a bunch of smaller studios have been picking it up and doing it, and it's a different environment. You can find stuff on the internet now. It's, I don't know. I mean, I agree. It's sad to see any studio say that we're probably not going to be doing these anymore because they just aren't that profitable. But at the same time, it's you understand where they're coming from, or it's like when they were when Scott Pilgrim was being worked on, and everyone was like, "Oh, that's gonna be great. I'm gonna go see it." And then they release it, and it's it barely made any money because the nerds were talking about wanting to see it, but they didn't. So So you can't really bank on what the nerds say they're gonna do.
Right. I don't know.
What are your thoughts on the films, Ian? Have you seen any of their any of the Miyazaki films and all that?
No, I haven't. But one, like a general thing I wanted to say is, I wanted to get your opinion on is, generally, maybe it's just because we're getting older, but I don't know. Maybe, who knows, but it's like, it seems like back in like more of our younger days and even before we were born, is, it seems like there's like the magic of people being just wowed by movies and stuff, not just like getting figures and like sales and stuff in the box office and stuff. And I mean, that's one thing, but I mean, it just seems like the magic is definitely gone away nowadays compared to how it used to be with like, just like even just regular 2D animation and stuff, and just also maybe movies in general and stuff.
Well, I mean, there's kind of reasons for that. I mean, there's reasons for that. It's like, when with computers and everything, it's like, when a movie was done with practical effects, it looked more realistic now than when you see a movie today where something's just generated. You go, well, that's not really there, or like, there's that level. Plus, people nowadays know how movies are made more because there's behind the scenes everything. There's, oh, look at this. Here's a guy in the green at the green screen when they're doing this and doing that and stuff on wires. I mean, plus it's also a matter of like what audience is going to see the movie. A lot of movies today are still kind of popcorn fodder. I mean, there's art films and there's really films that are wowing, but like, when we were growing up, there was the Steven Spielbergs, and there were, these big names making, huge films, and now it's like films kind of come out and they're like, like one in a series or, part of a trilogy. Like every movie now really wants to get like the Harry Potter thing, where like, oh, we're gonna have this huge series of sequels, and it's like they're not really focused on making one really solid, amazing film thinking that's going to be their last shot. They're like, can I make this a franchise? But then again, also, the budgets have really ballooned up. It's like, nowadays, a film can cost over, like, hundreds of millions of dollars. The entire, gross, collection from one small country is in a film. And a lot of that can be spent, and people will sit and watch it and go, because it got marketed and tested and edited down. It's like, I mean, the significant films to me are usually one where it's a unique voice, where like either a director or a writer or somebody involved with the film had this vision for what they wanted to do with it, and it comes at you differently.
Right.
So,
I mean, do you think though that if do you think there's still magic left maybe for people to see, or do you think we've just seen everything in the past century or so?
Nah. Well, that's the way they talk about writers, is that everything has been written, has been done, but it's a matter of putting a spin on it and making it uniquely you. Like, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was a fairy tale before it was that movie, and then that movie was magic, and now everybody's measuring any reimagining of it to the Walt Disney version, and it's like, it's a matter of things being reinterpreted, being rechanneled. I mean, unfortunately, you and I, we're kind of bitter guys in our early 30s, looking at a lot of stuff being shot not for us. So, like, a lot of things are like, oh, they, like, the Garfield movies we talked about, and everything with a CG animal, where it's like, oh, it's for the kids, and it's hip, and it's like, I don't know if this is going to stand the test of time as a lot of kids' movies that we grew up on. I mean, I don't know, I've seen people online breaking down the Disney films into eras, like they've talked about the Renaissance of it, and a golden age, a silver age, because when we saw, when we were growing up, they had like, the Little Mermaid and Aladdin, and that was kind of considered the second coming for Disney, because Disney had their like 40s era, and then the movies from the 50s, 60s, and 70s were technologically breakthroughs and very beautiful looking films, but they weren't like huge blockbusters like Lion King kind of thing. They weren't like, so I don't know. And plus, like, you can label each one as like, stylistically, like, this one had all CG versus, it's all computer 3D, CG and 3D model and everything, and then this one's was, when they brought in the Xeroxes, and they were just having the artist draw and then having the inks printed onto the cells, and you can break stuff down like that. I don't know.
So
I think we can be wowed. It's just a matter of what film comes out there. It's got to be something unexpected.
Right. Well, in your opinion, and my opinion, I mean, I think we definitely both could agree that there is still like a lot of room before, CG, where it's like pixel per pixel. It looks like as real as like everything else. I mean, you could usually tell when something's CG. Just naturally with their eyes and stuff.
Well, I mean, it really depends on what the thing is doing, because like earlier CG, they really said like they had to do animals and stuff, because once you try and make it a human character, you get that uncanny valley, and it doesn't look right. And now they're like, oh, let's make them either really cartoony humans, or you can almost get there, with some stuff. And I don't know, like with the Lego movie. I remember when that came out, there were people that were like, so did they film Legos like in stop motion, or was that CG? And it's like, well, that's the kind of thing where, they're real objects, but, like, you could realistically film that movie in stop motion. It would just be, I don't know. That'd be interesting to see that done. But,
right.
I don't know.
What do you think we still have, do you think we should just like only, because a lot of people you hear, you ask them like what their opinion is on like 3D and all that other stuff, it's a lot of people really don't care for it much. Do you think we should just continue to just worry about making good storylines and making it look believable and stuff?
Well, the emphasis
before
on
we
character...
start trying to go out and doing like crazy stuff with like futuristic stuff like the like the 3D, or make it seem like you're in a virtual world or whatever with movies, like IMAX type stuff.
Well, I think that story and character should always come first with any film, be it a small hand-drawn indie production, or like a little live action film, or something that's a huge blockbuster. It needs a good story first, and good characters and good actors, and then the whole aspect of making stuff 3D, IMAX, and all these different things. It's like that. It's kind of a little bit of a distraction. It's a little bit of a distraction, in my opinion, because nobody's doing it right. Like, when you see somebody doing, like, most of the time it's like, okay, you charge extra $7 or whatever for this, and then it's like, I didn't really get my money's worth. Like, nothing came at me. I couldn't even tell what effects I was supposed to be watching for. And then every once in a while you'll see one film where they knew what they were doing. It's like, okay, this person understands what you can do with 3D. Like, James Cameron. That guy understands it. Like, I mean, think of what I've aired my issues with the Avatar movie just as much as anybody else, but he knows how to make 3D like work, where you got those glasses on, like, okay, I paid my money for this and I understand, as opposed to where you walk out of the theater and go, did I see any shots where anything even like looked like it came close to my eyes? So, like, I don't think it's. I mean, I understand why they're doing it. Why it's like any reason to charge people more under the the impetus or guise of, okay, we're going to be adding this 3D effect. It's like, well, most of these movies don't need to be in this 3D effect. Most of them weren't shot in that. Most of them are being converted to that, and it's not really worth it, or it doesn't really work for it. So, I don't know.
But you don't want to see Jay and Silent Bob in 3D, man.
But the thing is, though, I think it should be worked on, because, like, right now it's just, it shouldn't be like every. That's the problem right now. Is every movie theater is like, oh, do you want? Okay, you're buying that. You buying a ticket. Do you want to go for the super expensive 3D version or the two? Just give me the 2D. I have no reason to pay extra. But I'd like them. I like them to be working on it at the same time as the movies are out there, so that hopefully some filmmaker will have the if they come up with a story and that it requires this kind of technology, or they can introduce it. I want it to be able, like, when we get the Oculus Rift or whatever, and suddenly everybody has them. So.
Well, what was I gonna say? Me personally, I don't care for 3D as much. I do have to admit, like when I go into Best Buy or whatever, seeing those 4K TVs that are curved, those are pretty nice, I guess. But I mean,
but yeah, it'll be like a good 15-something years before the average person, the average house you stop in will have those. I mean, we're just now people are more people have flat screens and HD TVs than they used to. So it's still ways to go, I suppose.
Well, what do you think is the ultimate, I don't know, what do you think is the craziest thing that you could think about for as far as experiencing a movie? Is just animating holograms, or just something where it's just a dream in your head, and then you're done with the movie? What do you think?
Well, I mean, no. Well, I mean, I've heard people talk about demonstrations of 3D glasses where they'll have a person that's introducing the thing, and then that person will turn into a zombie, or there's ways to you could eventually everybody might have eyeglasses that'll be uniquely them or something, so you can tap directly into that person in the audience, and it's there's ways to customize it and make it interesting. If you're at this distance, it looks like you're doing this, or everything could look different to each individual person. There's a lot of potential for what to do with movies in the future, but I think the problem is that right now it's all kind of dressing for, if you're, the story should really be first, because I mean, if the movie's still in black and white and silent, it's a good story, I'll sit and watch it. But if it's flashy but there's no substance to it, I'll get bored. So. Right.
Well, let's break this down. Do you think usually movies with storylines and stuff, them directing your point of view is part of the storyline? You have the long shots or medium shots and stuff, or you think a lot of people would prefer to be able to change their own view in the storyline, have a 3D volume of space where you could see the actual reality, and then it would move for the scene or whatever,
Well, that's a matter of in interactivity and involvement. That's more video game stuff. You can't really conform an entire world around it and try and place everybody in that so that they can move around and go oh, I'm over here in this story, I'm over here. It's no. If you're a storyteller, you really have to just try and make a linear, or or a Quentin Tarantino version of linear, whatever a one-way story. Right. I think that would be kind of distracting too, to try and make it oh, here's the I mean, when a movie has an alternate ending, would you want to do that? Would you want to go to the theater and oh, I got the bad ending, oh, I got the good ending, oh man, it's
yeah.
I mean,
well, I do remember I forget what movie it was. I think there was a couple of them where you could actually, on a DVD, you could actually change the camera angle or something, for that scene.
Well, yeah, they try to do that with Blu-ray, and it's kind of, it's, I don't know, it's not, I mean, Clue had different endings, because it doesn't really matter, because none of them were real, at the end they were just whatever, it's a movie, I don't. It's I really care, if the story's good and solid, and direct. I mean, a good question would be do you get tired of a movie that's either pandering or trying to force you to go in a direction that you don't like? Because there are movies that they take an angle and they stick with it, and then you sit there watching it going, well, I wasn't on board with this halfway through, so I'm just waiting till this movie is over now. I don't agree with any of this, or this doesn't make any sense to me, or,
Yeah.
And it's because there's some movies where it's like, oh, here's the shorthand for a story. It's like, no, man, make your own story. Make these characters poignant. Don't just say, oh, well, now here's the third act, and this is when in the romantic comedy when the couple has to get back together from their fight where they fought for whatever reason. It's like, man, make up a good structure. It doesn't have to fit the same formula we've all seen. So,
yeah. Well, I guess now that I'm thinking about it, it would be a different experience if you could be in like different angles throughout the storyline. Then that'd be more of like a theater play type of experience where you could either be up on the balconies or you could be in different seats and stuff.
Well, I mean, the entire idea of a movie is you're supposed to show it. I mean, people complained about the producer's movie, that remake, because it was very just flat and not a lot of zooming in or zooming out or like changing stuff around. It's like, just film it, it's going on in front of the camera. So, I don't know. But anyway, another thing I want to talk about real quick, because I know you got to go at not too long from now. A discussion, does independent animation have a future on YouTube? So I'm going to just share this link with you, good sir, because I saw this floating around Tumblr. It's a YouTube video by Ross O'Donovan, I believe his name was. His YouTube channel's Rubber Ninja, and he's one of the guys on the Game Grumps, specifically Steam Train, but he plays video games and they talk over him and do let's plays with him and whatnot. But he's also an animator, and he posted a video where he's like, is YouTube weighted against animators right now, because the way they've changed their policy, if you're an animator, you can really only upload a couple minutes of video every so often, because that's it's a labor intensive process, versus content creators that do like let's plays like he does on his side, stuff like that, or like other kind of video content where you can just pump out video after video. It's more weighted towards them. And the way he was explaining it was that, like, in 2012, when there was the reply girl phenomenon, where girls would reply to popular videos with the same tags, and the video would be positioned where the thumbnail would have them, they'd be a pretty girl with cleavage, and the people would click on it, and they wouldn't have much to say in the reply, and people would downvote it because they're like, this is stupid, this doesn't help anything, but the downvoting would actually make the video more popular in YouTube's system, so therefore it would actually rise in the amount of times it would be showing up at people's, recommended and suggested video things. So they changed the policy then to say that things are more weighted by time to watch, and if you're an animator making a short video, you can't, your video is not going to be as long, people aren't going to watch it, it's not going to be as weighted as the longer videos. So, it's an interesting point, and it got linked on Cartoon Brew, and the guy behind Newgrounds.com, he posted a forum post about it. He's like, a lot, we supported Flash animators in the beginning, a lot of people, came here, but then, they started moving to YouTube because people would take their videos and put them on YouTube, so they started putting them there as a defensive measure, and now it's like everybody's got a YouTube channel, and he's like we were kind of trying to fight to figure out where we were and try to make ourselves profitable and figure out our business plan, and now we're saying, hey, you can have a YouTube channel and have a Newgrounds channel, and they're two different audiences, and they can really help you grow as opposed to just having a YouTube channel. So,
oh yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I can understand that angle, and I think it's an important distinction, because I mean, YouTubers, you can get guys that just go on and vlog or do unboxings and stuff. But if you're an animator trying to make it out there, it's like that's a sea of people making content that you have to compete with. So, I don't know. Yeah. What are your thoughts, Ian? Because I've talked too much.
Well, I mean, exactly what you said is you're competing with a lot of other people. Like, you'll probably get won over by somebody's vlog or something, you know, with their eating an IHOP, you know.
Well, I mean, if you compare like an animation channel where somebody is working and putting out like one video a month, like you and I are do an episode every week on this show, and you know that's regular content, so that makes us up higher than them. And plus, we go for like what, an hour and a half to 3 hours sometimes. We're gonna have longer video, longer content. And like, YouTube's usual advertising thing is if your video is under, has to be about 10 minutes to get, good ads to be able to, make good money off of it. So if you're an animator trying to make something and your video is 3 to 5 minutes, well, what are you going to do? You're kind of boned then, aren't you? Because you're not going to get good ads versus, the Let's Player who filmed, playing his Sega Genesis video and... and then, like, they're still able to pull all kinds of big ads, and, like, I don't know.
Right. Well, that definitely does force you to do, like, a certain kind of content, and, like, maybe you could do, like, a mini-series or something, or until next time,
Well, I mean, in the video, he was talking about how, like, that could force people to either do, like, two things. They could either, make longer videos but with less animation, so it's more like an animatic kind of thing, or like really limited, or it could be like animators could pool together and have like a lot more content put together on the same channel or the same network. But that kind of thing is a lot of work to coordinate other people, and getting people coordinated, that's its own I don't know. I mean, it's yet another thing to be concerned with YouTube. I think it's a good thing that there are animators that are having this discussion. I'd much rather animators be the ones sitting here going, is this a good thing or a bad thing? And what can we do about this? And hey, let's stand up and take notice of this. Because as opposed to, when content, like when that whole content ID thing, start screwing people up with all the networks on YouTube. Yeah. Like how that just happened, and all of a sudden, like when a lot of gamer networks suddenly lost their sway, and all of a sudden all their content was getting flagged. It's like all of a sudden they realize, oh, all these other people have been dealing with this for years, and now all of a sudden we're dealing with it. Well, now we must make issue, and it's like at least animators are standing up, going, hey, how do we make a living doing this? So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of people do, like, you could do, like, 20 minutes. A lot of people do 20-minute videos on YouTube, and they're still, like, really popular. I mean, that's almost, like, 20, isn't it, like, 22 minutes without commercials is, like, a half-an-hour TV show?
Yeah, well, that's the average TV show, yeah, but, like, an animator's not going to be able to do 22 minutes. They're just not. I mean... Unless you've got a production line of a whole bunch of people doing it, but even then, you're only going to churn out one of those every so often.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you have a whole lot of stuff that we could talk about. Maybe we could, if there's anything new, maybe we could talk about it next week. But I figure since we're talking about animation and stuff, do you want to do an animation trivia this time? We haven't done that in a while.
Certainly, although I will rule this one. Let's bring it on! Like Donkey Kong.
Yay.
Trivia.
Get ready for trivia. Get ready for trivia.
Oh yeah, trivia with Ian. Alright. What year was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs released? 1934, 1937, 1938, 1941. Did you want to go first this week, Ian?
Sure, I'll go first then. You'll probably laugh at me because I don't know the answer, but I'll just say 41.
I believe believe it was. I know it was in the 30s, but I think it was either 34 or 38. I'm gonna go with 38. I'm probably wrong, but
Yeah, me too. You're C on D. Oh, it was 37.
37. What? Lot up?
Yeah.
Eh. Oh well.
Okay, so none of us have any score yet. No one has. No points.
Where do Timmy Turner and his fairly odd parents reside? Dimsdale, Dumburg, Hartsville, Mensaland. Really? All right. I'm gonna go with A. Dimsdale.
Okay, I'll just go with A too. I know you're. You know. I
know
remember
you know
you
these
would
things.
talk about. Well, I know you know.
I know, and you know, and I know we know. Yeah.
We would always talk about that style. Well, Fairly Odd Parents, the thick drawing style, thick lines. I'm going with A. You're going with A. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you did know what you were talking about, and it wasn't a trap. Good.
Oh no, that's a trap. All right. Which show is James Woods and a giant fighting? Wait. Which show has James Woods and a giant fighting chicken? The Cleveland Show, The Simpsons, American Dad, Family Guy. Well, giant fighting chicken. That would be D. Family Guy.
Well, you already went first, but that's what I was gonna go with.
Oh, well. See, that's the thing. When I'm reading these off, I can't pay attention to who goes first. Who's on second?
I was gonna go with that anyways.
You know, in the Simpsons, they're gonna have a crossover with Family Guy, and they're gonna have the fighting. Well, I don't know if they're gonna have the fighting chicken, but I saw Homer and Peter fighting. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, Peter
what city?
he usually fights the chicken.
Yeah. In what city can we find American Dragon Jake Long? Williamsburg, Albany, New York City, Yorktown.
Ooh.
I don't really know I'm just gonna say New York City, just cause.
Okay, I'm gonna say D. Yorktown, just because that just popped in my head for some reason. So.
All right.
Oh, you got it.
Oh yeah.
Are you coming for me?
That's right, brother. Which show has Wheels and the Leg Man? Family Guy, The Cleveland Show, The Simpsons, American Dad. Wheels and the Leg Man? Well, I know Family Guy has that guy in the wheelchair, but I have no
Oh, this
idea.
is me. I'm gonna say Family Guy,
I'm gonna say Family Guy too.
because I believe they're probably referring to, I forget the name, the cop, and then that one pirate guy with the wooden legs.
Wooden arms, wooden legs, wooden eyes too. No wait, that was a Rocco's Modern Life bit. But yeah, I'm going with Family Guy. I mean, it might
American
be
Dad.
See, I would have guessed that with the Cleveland Show because I know nothing about those characters, but I know a decent amount of the American Dad characters. So, good morning, USA. Anyway, which show had the B Sharps and has the team of Itchy and Scratchy? Family Guy, The Simpsons, The Cleveland Show, American Dad. That would be The Simpsons.
Yeah, it was The Simpsons. I'm not gonna choose anything different on that one.
Why would you?
Itchy and Scratchy show.
I mean, asking anybody who was on The Simpsons at this point, it's a cultural thing. It's asking us who was on the Flintstones. It's like, well, we know. We know. Anyway. And finally, an old favorite. In what prehistoric city would we find the Flintstones? I did not plan this, folks. That's actually the next question. Slateville, Bedrock, Rock Creek, Dinosaur Falls. Ian, where do you think they were?
Bedrock.
In Bedrock. B. Bedrock.
Yes, so it's your turn. Go ahead.
Which show has Krispy Kreme McDonald and an East German Olympic ski jumper who thinks he is a goldfish? Family Guy, The Simpsons, American Dad, The Cleveland Show. Are they only going to ask us about these 4 shows? It's American Dad, because Klaus the goldfish.
Yeah, it was American Dad.
I like how none of these answers are The Cleveland Show, because nobody watched that.
This is the Cleveland Show.
In keeping with the times here being the 1930s, Max and Dave Fleischer introduced a sexy flapper character in a 1930 short called Dizzy Dishes. She will make it all the way to 1988's anime classic Who Framed Roger Rabbit as a cocktail waitress. Who is she? Olive Oil, Sweet Pea, Betty Boop, Little Audrey. No, Kitty, that's not the answer. Now, whose turn is it? Mine?
It was mine. Because you said American Dad first.
Okay. You don't say, Kitty. She really wants to know. She's like, I know the answer. I know the answer.
I'll just say A, Olive Oil.
Well, the answer is Betty Boop, but okay. You say what you want.
Okay, so...
Boop, boop, doo, boop.
It was Little Audrey, it said.
Well, that's wrong, because Little Audrey wasn't in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Betty Boop was. So... Because remember, she was the cocktail waitress that gave Eddie a drink. It's been hard since cartoons went to color. So the answer... Betty
I'm gonna do a wiki on it. Or Google search.
Well, just do a Google on the name of that cartoon that debuted in. Was it Dizzy Dishes? Just do a Google on it and say, who was in this film? Little Audrey and Dizzy Dishes. That was a Paramount cartoon, not Max Fleischer. That's just...
$1955.
That's the 55 cartoon. What was Betty Boop's first cartoon? Dizzy Dishes, Betty Boop.
That's 1930, though.
Yeah, that's when the question asked.
Yeah. Well, I just put down what it said, so they were wrong then.
Damn fool.
That's fine. I'll give it to you. That's whatever.
That's right. I'm citing my homework, teacher.
I'll allow it.
Okay, Judge Mills Lane. The first in one of the most profitable animated series of all time. What 2001 movie stars an ogre trying to reclaim his swamp from fairy tale mainstays? Igor, Turbo, Bolt, Shrek. And this one's mine. I'm gonna go with Shrek because that's the answer.
Yeah, it was Shrek.
Oh boy. Hey, would you like to take an obvious quiz? Obvious answer is obvious. What was the second full-length animated feature released by Disney? Dumbo, The Black Cauldron, Pinocchio, or Bambi?
Oh, this one is hard. This is me going first.
Yep.
Say Pinocchio.
I'm thinking it's either Pinocchio or Bambi. It's a tough question. I'm gonna go with Bambi though. Just
Okay.
see which one it is.
Yeah.
Boo!
Pinocchio.
I should have gone with the crowd. All the cool kids were doing it.
Yeah.
Where did Doug Funny from the cartoon Doug move to? Bloatsburg, Four Corners, Pork Belly, Bluffington. Pork Belly, really? Is that what they... Bluffington. He moved from Bloatsburg.
So you're saying A?
No, I'm saying D.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're saying D?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that was pretty quick, so I'm gonna go with D too then. Actually, hold on for a sec.
Okay. That's a little longer than I wanted, so, hey boys and girls, how you doing there? Just gonna tell you a magical story, little story now about my kitty cat here. She's doing nice and just playing my kitty cat like I'm a Bond villain. See, it's like, oh, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. Yes, yes, yes. You know, if you watch Thunderball, he's holding a cat, and all of a sudden there's this explosion, and the cat very much wants to be out of his arms, and he's holding on for dear life to the cat, like, don't run out of the shot. So,
Okay, I'm about to have to leave here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I would have just said we would have gone to 10, so you technically won, so.
well, I don't know, brother. Maybe I should get you on a rematch next week.
Do you want to continue it next week? I mean, we could always do 30 next week.
Yeah, let's just say that I'm technically the winner, but I will defeat you. I will defeat you next week in the ring. So
Yeah.
I'm coming for you, Ian.
Yep. And of course, we can't go without the winter music. I'll still play that for you, buddy.
Alright. Okay then. So I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in this week. It was an early show, but these things happen. And we'll be back next week. I'm gonna still see if I can get anybody to come on. So we might have a guest, we might not. I don't know.
Yeah. Did you hear from Doug at all this week? Or no.
No, I haven't. I need to text him again. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I'll probably run it. I might run it doing tomorrow. So anyway, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you all on the other side.
Peace.
To find out more, visit NoRightsProductions.com. Follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/NoRights. And hey, why don't you check out my Tumblr at NoRights.tumblr.com.